So we were really thrilled about showing Super Dyke and Dyke Dollar. So we would love it if there were any questions from the audience. We'd be happy to have them.
Well, right here in front. That's not a question for the filmmakers. I just wanted to say that to Laura that so we actually saw this film a couple years ago, and it took us 2 years to find the right program for it. And I know it's always painful when people don't get the acceptance letter that they're looking for, but sometimes it comes when you don't even know it's going to come. Yeah, so we're just really happy that it worked out finally, and it reminds me that we try to keep things in mind for people, you know, that films that have merit, but it's all about fitting into the right place, and it took us a long time to get this program together. It was really nice that it could happen.
You're welcome. The same's actually true of What If, which was the last film that we showed. We also received that a few years ago and enjoyed it, but weren't sure how to program it. And can you believe we finally found a place for that film?
Oh.
So good.
So is that capitalism that was just working there?
I have a real question.
Yeah, please.
So now that you made the film about the Dyke Dollar and people don't do it anymore, how do you feel about your film in relation to that movement?
Okay, he asked me how I feel about the movement of stamping your money now that it doesn't happen anymore. And I actually made the film. I was writing a master's thesis on the commodification of queer culture, and read in this book about this form of activism, and it just struck me as like...
That's enough.
It struck me as inherently comedic, and like it had all these comedic possibilities, because I of course imagined who's getting these dollars and what their thought process is. So so I never actually stamped money, or you know, I think it's an interesting form of activism. I don't know how effective it is, but I liked the idea of it, and I just thought it had tons of comedic potential, so that's how it came about.
So I just wanted to, I don't know how old you are, but I remember that was, stamping the money was a big thing that I remember from the early 90s. I was part of like...
Yeah, I wasn't even out. I was like in, you know, junior high school with like listening to Criss Cross. Like.
So I was just wondering if Lisa could just talk about her experience as the Dyke Dollar.
Sure. I was in rehearsal for another show when Laura asked me to be in her piece, so I was a little distracted, and I didn't quite realize I was going to be wearing a big green foam costume. Even though she said that to me, I was like, okay, sure. And then until we actually went for the costume fitting, I was like, wow. And then I was like, well, I need to take this seriously. This is a big deal. No, so it was a fun experience to do it with comedy and sincerity as well. And I had fun. I thought it was fun, like getting in the information, all of the information about the Dyke Dollar, and putting that into dialogue form, and then sharing that.
And also, we shot it in suburban New Jersey, which was fun because Lisa's walking around in a giant foam costume, and people are like honking their horns, and like the whole. It was really, really funny. And then of course people are like, "What's your film about?" And you're like, well.
Educational possibility.
The costume was in my parents' garage in Brooklyn, and unfortunately the hurricane took it out. So it still exists, it's just not in the shape that it once was. It's kind of grungy. Yes, it's not as inspiring as it should be.
So I was thinking it could be at Foley Square tomorrow at 1 o'clock when we walk down to our park. Yeah, it'd be great for it to be a tattered dollar.
Actually, it works really well.
Well, I thought it was really interesting that the interpretation of the meaning of the Dyke Dollar was to discuss the contributions to the economy that lesbians make, and I feel like framing it in, looking at it through today's lens, I almost want to say something about like how we're debased by our money and economic exchange systems, and that there's even more meaning to the idea of saying like, oh, this piece of paper passed through my hands, through the hands of a queer person, into someone else's hands, and maybe not as a contribution, but as part of this like insane thing that we're all forced to participate in.
Any other questions from the audience? Yes, right there.
I enjoyed all the movies, and I wanted to ask Barbara Hammer about what it was like to see your movie again with the new audience, time passing, and what were your reactions to seeing it?
Well, I was actually not in the theater when it was playing. But I am happy to have the mic and say something. Because I love the mic. I just got back from Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina. And I had a screening there as part of a human rights film festival. I was a judge as well. But my screening brought out some lesbians in the community, and they, just as we were walking in, the programmer, creative director of the festival told me the queers tried to have a festival this year and there was violence threatened, so they shut it down and didn't have it. And my films were not very queer, the ones that they'd select. I mean, they were not explicitly queer. Generations, Maya Deren Sink, and A Horse Is Not a Metaphor. So it was a very subdued audience with, and they asked me what should they do, so to speak. And it was really hard to say, keep on fighting in the street, because I felt like I was saying, go out and get killed. So I said, go underground. Keep on going underground, like we're underground. This is so underground. That whole theater with all the icicles, pink icicles coming down, and that walkway with all those flowers, grotesque, shining in the light, and this great program of films. It's like I feel so good to come home to this. I feel so lucky. I just want to say that all of us in the world, all we queers, are not so lucky. So maybe we could send something to Sarajevo. Maybe we could send them a program on a DVD.
Yeah.
And they could have an underground mix festival. Mix one, Sarajevo.
Yeah, let's talk after. Barbara, we can give me the contacts and we can get in touch with them for sure. For sure. Another one in the front again.
Send them some Dyke Dollar.
Indeed. Yes.
Do any of the filmmakers have anything coming up? Other films?
Yeah, I'm actually in film school now. I went to film school after I made this, and so I'm working on a bunch of stuff. Short doc, short narratives, and yeah, I'm just doing tons of work. So there'll be lots more coming, and it's all comedy, because that's me.
What a talent. Something coming up?
Yeah, Laura's a producer or something. There's a film, Codependent Lesbian Space Alien Seek Sane, which is a feature-length comedy, got nominated for a Gotham Independent Film Award for Best Film Not Playing at a Theater Near You. So exactly, so consequently it gets to screen at the MoMA. So, and this Saturday at 6 o'clock this Saturday, and on Monday at 8:15. Is that right?
You'll all be here for the Saturday screening at Mix, so we'll be there on Monday.
That's right, on Monday is the time to go. Monday's the time to go, and it's economy conscious. The Met has really decent prices for their tickets, so thanks for Barbara.
Well, I finished and I've screened interactive installation that has to do with oil spills. And I got a residency at Banff up in Alberta. So let me just explain it to you in case there's a curator in the audience. There are 5 screens and they circle you. They're about as big as this room. The stage is what we would need. And on each screen is a projection of a waterway, either interior of a ferry looking out, kayaking through the city of Stockholm because it's surrounded by water, a trail of water going out from behind the ferry to a nice quiet pond. Slowly over 5 minutes, the water turns into oil, orange and mud from this beautiful clarity. And then a huge wave comes on all the screens at the same time, and a big globule of mud goes around, and then it freezes. And a chemical formula comes on of polyvinyl chloride, which many of our plastic items are made of, turns into oil and drips down, and you think the screen goes dark, you think it's over, and you start to walk out. And as you walk out, your shadow is cast on another screen, and rain of plastic items from your daily life falls down and fills your body as you're walking out. We're all implicated. What can we do? It's called sea change.
Other questions? Other questions? If not, we're going to thank you. But first, Sloan and I are going to cue